Lao Tzu, the ancient Chinese philosopher, said, "Tao created one, one created two, two created three, three created all the myriad things." This suggests that the world is formed from Tao. Chinese people greatly value the Tao, or the Way. In Chinese, the concept of moral standards is denoted by the two characters Dao De, meaning the way, and virtue. Any behavior not conforming to moral standards was said to not follow the principle of Tao. In ancient times, a brutal emperor would be called a decadent ruler who lacks the Tao. Even farmers in revolt posted banners proclaiming, "Achieve the way on behalf of heaven." The Chinese traditionally believed in the unity of heaven and humanity. Lao Tzu said in his book, Tao Te Ching, "Man follows the earth follows heaven, heaven follows the Tao, and the Tao follows what is natural. The Tao of the universe does not change, and the universe runs according to the Tao, in an orderly manner. The earth follows the changes of heaven. Therefore, it has 4 distinct seasons. By respecting heaven and the earth, humankind enjoys a harmonious life of gratitude and blessings. This is reflected in the expression, heaven's favorable timing, earth's advantageous terrain, and harmony among the people. Astronomy, geography, the calendar system, medicine, literature, and even social structures all follow this understanding according to traditional Chinese thought. For over 5,000 years, profound insights offered by sages and philosophers about heaven, earth, and the universe have been passed down from generation to generation. This wisdom has nurtured the Chinese people and created one glorious era after another. In the last 100 years, while China was in great peril, the communist specter took the opportunity to enter the scene and seized political power by the use of brutal cruelty, controlling people with violence and lies, and promoting man over nature, and a philosophy of struggle. Chairman Mao Zedong said, "Battling with heaven is endless joy, fighting with the earth is endless joy, and struggling with humanity is endless joy." The Communist Party despises heaven, earth, nature, and morality. It is an extremely malevolent force against the universe, causing limitless agony and tragedy. It has also pushed China's 5,000-year civilization to the brink of destruction. Chinese have been living by a moral standard based on benevolence, righteousness, propriety, wisdom, and faithfulness. Popular sayings included, "Men at birth are naturally good," and "The heart of compassion is possessed by all people alike." Man's inborn nature aspires to kindness. Morality and justice are the most fundamentally important criteria for human beings. The Communist Party disregards these fundamental criteria, human nature, and morals. It materializes and mechanizes human beings. It classifies people into different categories based on wealth, family background, and so-called class components, and stresses that class conflict shouldn't be harmonized. People who were labeled as advanced class were transformed into frenetic revolutionary tools and rebellious revolutionary ruffians. Those labeled as reactionary class were, whether good or bad, cast deep into hell with no chance of being rehabilitated. The Communist Party's standard for classifying people has changed frequently and unpredictably. Yesterday's revolutionaries could be the target of today's attacks. The decades of on-again, off-again political movements have made Chinese people realize that right or wrong is not important in the communist society. The only way to survive is to follow the party closely. In Chinese society today, people have lost their standard of good and evil, virtue and vice. Virtue is regarded as foolish and a sign of weakness. The Chinese saying, "Life will get the best of you if you don't look out for number one," has become many people's motto. People stop at nothing for personal gain. For the Communist Party, a human being is an animal or even a machine. The Communist Party's goal is to control people and gradually change them into rebellious, revolutionary ruffians. Marx said, "Material forces can only be overthrown by material force." Theory also becomes a material force as soon as it is gripped by the masses. He believed that human history is nothing but the continuous evolution of human nature, and that human nature is in fact class nature. He posited that there is nothing inherent and inborn, only products of the environment. He argued that a human being is a social man, disagreeing with the natural man concept postulated by Feuerbach. Lenin believed that Marxism cannot be generated naturally among the proletariat, but must be infused from outside. Lenin tried his best, but could not cause workers to shift from the economic struggle to the battle for political power. So he pinned his hopes on the conditioned reflex theory put forth by Nobel Prize winner Ivan Petrovich Pavlov. Lenin said this theory, quote, "has significant meaning for the proletariat all around the world," unquote. Trotsky even vainly hoped that conditioned reflex would not only psychologically change a person, but also physically change the person. In the same way that a dog drools once it hears the lunch bell ringing, soldiers would be expected to rush ahead bravely upon hearing gunshots, devoting their lives to the Communist Party. Since ancient times, people have believed that rewards come from effort and labor. Through hard work, one gains a prosperous life. People have contempt for indolence and consider reaping benefits without working immoral. However, after the Communist Party spread to China like a plague, it encouraged social scum and idlers to divide up the land, rob private property, and tyrannize men and women. These things were even done publicly and legally. Respecting one's elders and teachers, and respecting knowledge, has been a Chinese tradition for several thousand years. Yet, in the Cultural Revolution, the Chinese Communist Party encouraged students to assault and bully teachers. Knowledge was condemned. It was said that, quote, "the more knowledgeable one is, the more reactionary," unquote. The concept of being respectful to teachers and knowledge was quickly erased from the minds of that generation. On August 5, 1966, Bian Zhongyun, a teacher of the affiliated girls' high school of Beijing Normal University, was paraded around by her female students on the street, wearing a tall dunce hat and ink-stained clothes, carrying an insulting black board over her neck. She was surrounded by students drumming on trash cans. She was forced to her knees on the ground, beaten with a wooden stick spiked with nails, and burned with boiling water